Good morning, everybody. It is January 26th, 2016, and this is the morning drive. I'm Quirk, and if this is the first time you're watching one of these shows, basically what I do is I drive to work and just kind of talk while I'm driving. And most of the time it's me just answering your questions from the day before. So yeah, that's what we're gonna do, and it's gonna be fun. So, again, forgot my iPad, so comments are going to be not from memory. I actually figured out another way to do this just in case, which I thought was kind of cool. Turns out that when you have a YouTube account and someone leaves a comment, it actually sends you an email. So I have everybody's comments in email form on my watch. So yeah, I can read them from there. Now, the problem is that it gives me the first 70 words and then it cuts off. So if you guys had some long-winded story about whatever and he said this to whomever and well it resulted in this going to there, then I'm only going to get to the part where you said hi. So hey, look, a bus. I should probably stop. And they're done, so I can go now. Yay. Yeah, in Canada, I don't know if this applies to the rest of the world, but in Canada, buses, school buses, have little stop signs, and it's actually against the law, even if you're on a 3-lane road, to drive past them if that little stop sign's out, because you might hit a kid. Oh no, well, what happened then? Whatever. Kids today are just weird. They're weird. If you have kids and they're weird, you should show them some stuff like Super Nintendo and old school games and stuff like the stuff you grew up on. No more of this. Okay, it bothers me when a little girl or a little kid, and it's usually little girls that this applies to, not so much boys, because boys are but when little girls are 11 and they go, I just want a boyfriend. No, you need to do your homework and watch cartoons and, I don't know, play with it all. But no, you need to, you have your iPhone and you're on Tinder for some reason and whatever. So yeah, that's weird. No, that's no bueno. That's no bueno. Anyway, I guess I should get to comments. So, let me see if I can figure this out without crashing. I'm so gonna die on this episode. There we go. Haha. So, nope, that's the first one of 10. Let's go to the first comment. There we go. This one is from... Oh. I'm saying oh because I can't pronounce her name. Just call me Simon. Okay. And to be honest, I think we're going to end up in something more like a Wells nightmare with cameras and stuff. But oh well. Yeah. He's talking about the previous episode. I was mentioning that there's a good chance we're all gonna, what type of future will we have? A dystopian or utopian type future? Or are we gonna have something completely out of the norm? And everybody's been kind of posting their comments on what they think might happen, or whether they agree with me or disagree with me, or surprisingly nobody mentioned the rant about welfare, and I kind of appreciate that. Thank you guys. But well, that's really bouncy. But yeah, so it was kind of just to kind of fill everybody in who didn't see yesterday's episode. If you haven't seen yesterday's episode, watch yesterday's episode. It's only 20 minutes, and then you can watch this episode. It will start to make sense. But just for the 5-second filler, we talked about a utopian versus dystopian future. The technology that we have in today's society, what's the most likely outcome, and basically I voiced my opinion, and then the comments came in, and they all have very differing opinions, and I like it. Spurs conversation. So Simon thinks there's going to be something like a Wells nightmare, and yeah, I can see that happening. I totally agree with you. So next comment is from, there's a hard turn coming up in the road, so Ken, if I die from reading your comment, that's a tight turn. Oh, hello, little Honda. I drive a little car too, but mine's not made of plastic. Okay, no. So, there we go. I've always pictured society itself falling at some point, whether it's due to a war or disease, and those would be left to attempting to establish some sort of form of society. And then it goes on with a little bit more, but my watch cuts it off. But yeah, I could definitely see society just falling apart and then everybody left over being like, almost like Walking Dead style, where even whatever it is, the society that's left behind, basically everybody's striving to be the one in power, and everybody just kind of goes back to their natural roles. Like, you got people who are just natural leaders becoming the leaders of society. You got those who are natural followers becoming the followers. Outcasts to stay outcasts. Everybody just kind of goes back to that very primitive, basic role. They're not trying to pretend to be something, or there isn't like some job or someone higher up than them forcing them to do something that they don't want to do. It's just, yeah, I naturally do this. This is my ground zero, and yeah, I'm gonna go back to that. So speaking of that, if that was something to happen, what do you as an individual think that you would get, like, revert back to? Would you naturally go to a leader? Would you go to the outcast? Would you go, I'm just gonna list off like 5 on the top of my head, and you can pick or make up another one for yourself. But would you go to a leader? Would you be a follower? Would you be an outcast? Would you be a, like, just a hermit where you can't leave a specific area? Or would you be the person who's just like, you know what, I'm gonna lone wolf this, and whoever joins me, but for the most part, I'm just gonna go on my own, and I have my own agenda, and no one can alter that. So that last one got a lot of detail. I couldn't think of a name for it, so I figured I'd just explain it in extreme detail there. So anyway, next comment. Ooh, why is there a Mustang out in January? Granted, it's not the prettiest looking Mustang. Still, why is it out? That poor car. I can see the salt eating away at it from here. Why would you do that to your car? Oh, never mind. Anyway. Next one is from Tabletop Banner. Yay! You always have the weirdest questions. So, thanks for responding. If you could take one intellectual property and turn it into a tabletop game, what IP would you choose, and what system would you most likely play with it? Okay. That's a good question. The thing is, a lot of them are already games. Like, if I wanted to, I'd be like, oh, Halo. Well, Halo already has a tabletop game, and a board game, and a custom board game, and like a remake of all kinds of classic Hasbro games. So that would be the one I would go to by default. Okay. I would probably say Firefly. Firefly already has its own little board game, and I'm pretty sure it's made by a Hasbro or like a partner of Hasbro. So it kind of has its own little board game thing. But if I want it to be a tabletop game where you actually like make a crew and you have ship interactions, and that's kind of your gameplay there. So instead of it being like, oh, we have to set up a board and everything like that, you have ships. And basically the way it works is you have somebody who has the home ship and somebody who has the Raider or Invader or 40 or, wow, it is pouring out. I'm sorry, guys. So you have somebody who does something like that, and I would probably want to turn that into some sort of a tabletop game. So you can have like your own crew that you made up. You could get like Jay, and it would just be an army of Jays, and it would be the greatest thing ever because everybody would have witty backtalk and no one would make any sense, and I would just, yeah, that's probably the IP I would take, and that's probably the type of system I would put it onto, where it's a tabletop game, but the terrain board almost has to resemble that of like Infinity, where it's just packed in terrain because you're usually going into like the cargo deck of a ship or the like landing bay of a ship or anything like that, where there's a lot of debris and, well, not debris, but a lot of stuff in the way. So if a firefight breaks out, then you have things that you can hide behind, but you can have like, it's almost like I can see it almost playing like a role-playing game where you can actually trade goods and services and stuff like that. You can trade crew members, and yeah, I can see that happening. It would be very, very interesting. It would almost probably play out a little bit like Hero Clicks, where you don't have to paint the miniature, because if you have to like trade crew members and stuff like that, I wouldn't want to be like, oh, here's this model I spent like 9 hours painting. You can have it for a goat. Thank you for your goat. And it's like this little crappy goat you get, and it's like, ah, crap. So yeah, I would probably make it like a Hero Clicks type thing, but either way, yeah. Or just the gameplay itself plays out where you trade the miniature until the end of the confrontation, then it goes back to normal. But yeah, that's the IP I would take, would be Firefly. Love that show. It is the good. And the next comment, if it's one of those things like, oh, Netflix bought it out and they're remaking it, I know. I'm still waiting for like confirmation of that, because everybody's been like, it's been confirmed. I'm like, really? Can you prove it? So, next comment. This one is from... So this one is from Cody Asher. Thanks for answering. I was the anime guy. Wow, the camera's bouncing all over the place. Thanks for answering. I was the anime guy. Nice to know that Mini Wargaming has a few fans. Dystopian versus Utopian, with the way tech is advancing, 3D printers and the such. That's Star Trek, yo. I could definitely see that happening. Okay, so you're seeing it as a Star Trek feature, which is cool. And this is bouncing all over the place because the road is really bouncy. Next comment. So there's 10 comments on the videos here, guys, so it's taking a little bit for me to get to them, but oh, okay, this one's a very short one. This one's from Axis762. It won't matter once the Tyranids show up. Very true. Oh, okay, could you imagine a future where it just goes full on like Starship Trooper? Would you like to know more? Click below. Oh, so good. That's a good movie. Okay, the first one's a good movie. The second one, just, I was confused. Because it's like, oh, there's brain bugs, but there's also people attacking. So this is some sort of a, like, The Thing meets Starship Trooper meets, like, bunkering down. It was weird. And then the, like, electrical fence died, and suddenly they were getting swarmed. And I don't know where the electrical fence even came from. Why doesn't everybody have electrical fences? So, there was that. And then the third one, it was just like, oh, hey, look, we get some of the characters we like back. Oh, they're dead. They're just dead. Okay. So, yeah, that's how I felt. The first one was definitely the best. Usually this is the case, but yeah, Starship Troopers, numero uno is Trey Brano. That's my attempt at Spanglish. So, hey, you know what? I might not be late for work today. Go me. Okay, that was Axis' comment. Already read that one. See, they're all listed as the exact same thing. I can't see what it is until I open it. So, next up we have Brad McLeod. Oh, okay. So, just so everybody knows, Brad McLeod is the guy who plays Legion in Mini Wargaming's War Machine Battle Reports. So he is an actor. And he says, goofy question, top 5 favorite superheroes / villains and why? Ooh, you would. He likes hero clicks, so that's probably the reason why he's asking this question. He also likes superheroes. Top 5 favorite? I'm going to give you a mix, and these are not in any order whatsoever, but it's going to go Iron Man, because he's Iron Man, and he's a playboy billionaire philanthropist, so, and I totally didn't say that word right. Then you've got Deadpool, because he's a mark with a mouth, and he's just witty, and the new movie's coming out soon. Guess what I'm doing on Valentine's Day? Yeah, I'm gonna go see Deadpool. I'm probably gonna have to go with Venom. Venom is definitely one of my favorites. As a villain or superhero, he's been both. He plays both depending on which comic or saga you read, because he pretty much just kind of plays into his hand. Spawn is definitely up there. I think that's 4. And I'm gonna just add a little bit of variety here. I'm gonna pick one from the DC universe, and it's gonna be Batman. Batman. I'm Batman. Yeah, Batman. Just because he's awesome. Because if you take, there was a chart on the internet I saw, and I'm sure as soon as I mentioned it, everybody's like, I saw that chart. It was good. It made sense. It basically shows, like, if you take Superman and take away the sun, he becomes a regular guy. If you take away, like, the Green Lantern and take away his ring, he becomes a guy. If you take, like, Iron Man and take away his suit, he's just a dude. He's a rich dude, but he's just a dude. If you take Batman and take away all his gadgets, he's a kung fu master. So, yeah. I thought that was really cool. And he's also got, like, the driest humor ever in any of the, like, cartoon comics. That didn't make sense. Any of the cartoons and stuff like that, like the movies with everything, it's just hilarious. There's, like, points when Superman will be like, oh, to solve this problem, I can just push the Earth out of the way. And then Batman's like, if I had a week, I couldn't explain all the reasons why that won't work. So, yeah, Batman is he is sassy. So, thank you, Brad, for totally throwing me off there. I'll be sure to hit you next time I see you. Next up, I got, whoop, this one is from CJ Phoenix. Alright, I'm looking to enter my first 40k tournament soon with my orcs. Awesome, yes, good. How did your first tabletop tournament go? How was your first tabletop tournament? My first tabletop tournament ever was actually a long time ago. I was playing Tau at the time, and this would have been 4th edition, so Tau just came out. But to put things in perspective, I was 13 and could not afford anything aside from the starter battle box. So I had to make like 1,500 points out of that battle box. So the only way I could was by upgrading everybody with everything to the point where it just made no sense. I didn't have much money, so I couldn't really buy myself transport, so all my guys had to foot slog it across the board. And icing on the cake here, I could not afford marker lights. Couldn't buy the actual marker light model because I couldn't afford it, because back then it was pewter. And you could only get them in blisters of like 2, and you needed 5 to make a squad. Yeah, it was annoying, but anyway, as a kid, couldn't afford it. But I went to my first tournament with that. I got slaughtered. It actually was a really kind of demotivational thing for me until it kind of clicked that, you know what? No, don't take this as like, oh, you lost a tournament, you're bad at the game. Take this as a learning opportunity, see what you did wrong, and build off of it. So it got to the point now where I go to tournaments, like we went to a local tournament at Doing It Geek, which is a little restaurant thing that they have in Niagara Falls. So Steve, Chris, and I went, threw some pictures up. Or no, I think Chris threw some pictures up. I commented on the Facebook page. But I took Harlequins, and that was, there's no way you're winning a tournament with Harlequins. I'm sorry. They're just not, they're not structurally sound enough to be able to handle a lot of the A-lists. So, but the first game I played against was against Tau. And I kind of looked out because the guy I was playing against was newer to the game, so it was more of a fun match where he and I were able to play, and I was able to kind of point out some things because I played Tau a number of times, too many times, so I kind of know what they do. So it was more of a learning opportunity for him and more of a experimental opportunity for me to kind of test out some things I don't normally do with Harlequins, and surprisingly enough it worked. But I got to test those out, and it was actually a very fun game in the end. I actually won with Harlequins against Tau. Just dumb luck on my part. It was just, I was making a ridiculous amount of saves, my hits were ridiculous, everything was rending, and the terrain board, like the terrain that they had set up, there was not a lot for him to hide behind for cover, and because of the speed of Harlequins, it was very easy for me to get into position and just kind of start picking them off with neuropulsers and stuff like that. So that's kind of how that played out. But no, it was a very fun tournament. I won my first game. Steve stomped me the second game. He actually tabled me turn 1. That's how bad I got beat by him. And then another game was against Grey Knights, and it actually turned out to like last man surviving. He had a Drago and a single Paladin, and I think a Land Raider, and I had 3 jet bikes and then 2 troop masters with fusion pistols running around. Now the problem was that my troop masters had failed morale and were running away and all this other stuff, but it was a very fun game nonetheless, and the fact that it came down to that close of a thing at the beginning, which just made it really interesting. Anyway, I'm here, I'm at work, so thank you so much for tuning in. As always, look forward to tomorrow's video. If you want to have your question answered by me tomorrow, leave a comment below. As always, I'm looking to see how many subscribers I can get to this channel because it's actually awesome to have so many subscribers. So please hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. If you have that subscribe button, be sure to share this with your friends and see if they might be interested in it. If you have any friends who are interested in mini wargaming as a whole or just tabletop gaming in general, please let them know. And as always, like, comment for more questions to be answered, makes more discussion, makes it more interesting, and I will see you guys tomorrow.